12 o'clock, so we're going to get started. I will call the Committee on Government Operations to order. Madam Clerk, when you are ready, please call the roll.
Commissioner Kniezek.
Here, sorry.
Commissioner Clark-Coleman.
Here.
Commissioner Basham.
Here.
Commissioner Killeen.
Here.
Chair Dobb.
Here.
You have a quorum present.
All right, thank you. Next item.
B, Chairwoman's remarks.
I have no remarks. Next item, please.
C, approval of the December 8th, 2021 meeting minutes.
Move approval.
Support.
Moved and supported. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next item.
D, finished business. There is none listed.
Okay, next item.
Item 1, under new business, communication from Hector Roman, Interim Chief Information Officer, Department of Information Technology, forwarding the breakdown report on fiscal years 2019 through 2020 to 2020 through 2021 and Tech Refresh Initiative.
Okay, and let's take items, I think 1, 2, and 3 are receive and file items together, and we'll move those for our recommendation together, and then we'll move on to the other items. But we can go through each one for questions. So does anyone have any questions or discussion on item number 1? Commissioner Killeen.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. What is this report supposed to be telling us? I went through the data, lots of data and everything on there, but I couldn't figure out what was the purpose. What are they reporting to us? The Tech Refresh Initiative.
This is Majid Essek, the Finance Manager in Department of Information Technology. This is requested by the Commissioner to provide a list of DOT contract, for 1920 and 2021. And also there is an update, for the technology refreshment, which our director, Hector Romer, provided in details. That is, we put, the tech refreshment, in hold because the CARES Fund, they funded the purchase of the laptop for the employees, and it was financed by the CARES Act. And also after that, we purchased almost like 100 docking stations so employees can use it, when working from home.
Yeah, I saw that. Madam Chair, could somebody from commission staff, we put into the budget these budget, what do we call them, requests or whatever, annually to produce these reports. Can somebody from commission staff tell me what was the genesis of putting this budget instruction in to produce this report?
Yeah, Commissioner, this is Mark Abbo. Let me try and respond to that question. It was because there was a significant amount of money that was going to be spent on computer technology and refreshing our systems and upgrading our systems, and so it was just a report at the end of the for the period to understand how much was spent and where it was spent.
Mr. Abbo, is this the same as the J.D. Edwards, or is this something else?
No, this is something different.
And do you find the report useful, sir?
Can I follow up on that question at more formally at a later time?
Yeah, that would be good. We get a lot of budget instructions, and we get these reports, and it's not always clear to me Are they doing what we wanted out of the reports? You know, do we change budget instructions in subsequent years? Are we getting what we want? But I read through all of this and I wasn't quite sure what this was getting at.
We try to do that. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
if we find that they can be more meaningful in another way, we try and revise them. And I'll give you an example. You know, we used to ask for just 1 year. Now we ask for 2 years and 3 years so that we can have a comparison on an ongoing basis of
Okay.
what the administration is doing. So I will respond to that. I'm going to take a deeper dive on the report and I'll let you know.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, I don't know if anybody else has any comment on number 1, but I also have a question on number 2. I'll let you finish up number 1 before we go on to that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there anyone else who has any discussion on item number 1? All right, hearing none, we will move on to item number 2. Commissioner Colleen.
Thank you. Is there anybody from the Ethics Board here today?
Through the chair, this is Joe Slazak. The board chair, Karan Pinkins, was briefly in PS&J this morning, but I don't see him on this. I don't see him right now in GovOps. So,
okay. Well, this is an excellent report, and I was glad to get, although it's not my favorite, the strikeout, red line, whatever version of the changes to the ethics ordinance that are not being formally recommended here. They're just giving us a little preview of it, of the kind of changes that the ethics board, now that's been around, whatever, 4 or 5 years, is looking at the ordinance and what it needs different in the ordinance. So I was glad to receive that. And Madam Chair, I don't know if we're going to have here, or probably better here in GovOps, or probably better in Committee of the Whole, that when this is ready to be presented to the commission, I find it very difficult to read red line strikeout versions, especially when it's like, and there's a lot of changes in there and it's like, 20 pages or whatever. So I hope we get a formal presentation on this to the full board for the kind of amendments that the ethics board is looking at, with real world experience now with the ethics board. But I very much appreciate this report. Thank you, Madam Chair.
also through the chair, just for your information, this is Joe again. The initial recommendations were made pretty much pre-pandemic, and then with pandemic, everything got set aside again.
Right.
And late in the last calendar year, the board decided to revisit it, and it's the board's intent to make additional recommendations in 2021. So it'll probably be a little while before they actually get to the commission.
Yeah, but I was aware that a year or two ago they were working on some amendments, and now we have a few more. So I know it'll be later this year, but I think it's real good that we take a real good hard look at these ordinances after they've been in place for 3-4 years to see if it's really accomplishing what we want it to. So I'll look forward to that later in the year. All righty. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other commissioner questions on item number 2? All right, moving on to item number 3. Is there someone from the administration who can just give us a summary on this item, the emergency procurement for the security services at the Register of Deeds office?
Yes, Barbara Johnson.
Hello.
I don't know why my video's not on,
No.
but we needed to have the emergency security service because we've been having customers who have been pretty irate when they come in. Some of them were not wanting to wear masks, or we have a limit on the number of customers that we allow in the office at one time. And so when we reach that limit, we tell the others that they have to go down to the first floor and wait and come back up, because even our elevator lobby is small. We only let 3 people and standing there. And some of the people were getting very angry and taking it out on our staff members. And one person was threatened. Someone told him he was going to take a knife and cut him or something to that effect. And the employees were beginning to get afraid of sitting in the hallway. So we got that security guard.
Okay, can you give me an approximate date of when like these incidences started or when the threat to the employee took place?
Okay, let me look at the letter that I sent and I can tell you. Well, the threat had to have happened a day or 2 before the security guard started.
Okay. So that was really the catalyst to get the security in there. Okay. And was any police action taken with that threat?
No, we had spoken to the deputies who work in the treasurer's office. They will come up when we have issues until we got our own security officer. Okay. And really, I guess there wasn't enough for us to go on to do anything about it at that time.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Barbara. Any other commissioner questions on this item? Okay, hearing none, I will entertain a motion for recommendation to receive and file items 1 through 3.
I move the recommendation.
I support it.
All right, it's been moved and supported for recommendation. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion passes. Madam Clerk, next item, please. And we will, we're gonna go through the rest of the report. We'll do the same thing. Motion to recommend for approval to full board for items 4 through the end of the report. I don't know how many we have, and then we'll do motion at the end. Madam Clerk, item 4, please.
Item 4, communication from Kathy Garrett, Wayne County Clerk, recommending to the Commission that the Board of Canvassers' compensation be increased.
Okay, is anyone from the clerk's office here that can just give us a update on this?
Yes, Commissioner Dobb, this is Dwayne Seals, Wayne County, Deputy Wayne County Clerk, Chief Financial Officer. Yes, this is actually a request, a statute. Madam Clerk had determined that she had spoke with the Board of Canvassers and realized that the pay was not significant enough for them. The statute had mentioned that they would get, I think it's $25 for a day, and then $50 for recount. She had spoke with I think the president, well, the chair and vice chair of Board of Canvasser, and asked if they would be willing to stick around the full day, the full term, so 7 or 8 hours a day for 14 days. They, from what I understand, they agreed to. It's something they wanted to do. But yet, the $25 a day and the $50 a day would not be sufficient. As you know, the statute changed. The statute allowed the Wayne County Clerk to propose a new rate to the Wayne County Commission, and the Commission to actually make that approval for that. And what Madam Clerk has actually proposed is that they will receive $36 an hour first, excuse me, $18 an hour for the first 2 hours. Automatic. So if a person comes in the first for 1 hour, they'll still receive, will be paid for 2 hours. So it'll be a 2 hours. So they actually get $36 for those 2 hours. The hour after that, they will receive $36 an hour. And that will be the same amount for the regular count as well as the recounts of their business.
Great, thank you. Any commissioner questions on this item? Commissioner Colleen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Seals, this was new to me. I had no idea that we've been paying the Board of Canvassers. What is the 8 hours a day, 14 days? Is that some sort of requirement in the statute?
No, it's not. It's not a requirement. In fact, there's no requirement for them to work. It's the count is 14 days, so it's required for them to work 14 days. But there's no requirement how long or how long they actually work those days. It says that for the 14 days they'll receive the $36 for the regular, $25 for the regular meeting, and $50 for recount meetings. So therefore, Board of Canvassers could just only work 2 days. Here, they've recognized because things have changed, they need more oversight. The Board of Canvassers have decided that, yes, we'll start working longer hours. We'll work the 7 or 8 hours a day, but obviously we need to be paid more. And with that, Madam Clerk has decided to propose a rate to this honorable body.
Okay, the amount doesn't bother me at all. It's relatively nominal when you
Right.
do all the multiplying.
Exactly.
Do we have any idea, Oakland County, Macomb County, what the compensation is for their boards of canvassers?
We did not look at that. Obviously, this law has just changed. Obviously, we're underneath the regular statute as far as the $25 and $50. This law, I think, just recently changed back in early fall. So depending on if their county commissioners are actually making changes to their statute or not.
Okay. So the statute does require 14 days, but it doesn't say how many hours a day?
No, it doesn't say how many hours a day.
Sorry?
So no, it doesn't say a person could work 1 hour, a person could work 8 hours. It was just for that flat rate.
So they're going to work 8-hour days now? How's that going to work
Well,
out?
that's what, they've actually said they would work longer hours. That's why we changed it to a day to an hour. So that
Okay.
way, if a person just worked 2 hours, they would still receive that in a recount, would still receive that $50. If a person was to work longer, they would be paid the extra hours. So if a person only works 6 hours, they would just be paid 6 hours then.
Okay. I got you, right? But I don't know. It's not like they're punching in a clock and you can, look at their time cards for the hours that they have in. So, well, we'll see how it goes. I agree that we need to compensate people who sit on these public boards a reasonable amount. But, all right. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm done.
Commissioner Basham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To be clear, so I'm make sure I heard what I thought I heard you say, Mr. Seals. If they work more than 2 hours, it was a minimum of $36 if they work over an hour, correct?
No, it was, excuse me, Commissioner Bash, through the Chair Dobb, currently the rate is that they get paid $25 a day. If they work 15 minutes, they work 8 hours, it's $25. If there's a recount, they would get $50. If they work 15 minutes, if they work 8 hours. So the new proposal is that they will work the first 2 hours. So if they work 15 minutes or 2 hours, they would be paid $36.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Excuse me, yeah, $36 for the first 2 hours. And then on hour 3, they would start making $18 an hour their every hour after that. So if a person only worked 5 hours, they would just pay the 2 hours plus 3 more hours at $18.
So it would go up to $18 an hour, correct?
It would be up to yes, $18 an hour. So it would be, so I can do a quick math here. Let's say a person worked 8 hours, so they would receive. I'm sorry, I guess I figured this before times. If a person worked 8 hours, they would be paid $144 for that day. So it'd be paid $36 for the first, but the person worked 8 hours. The first 2 hours, they would pay $36, and then another 6 hours at $18, they'll be paid $108.
Okay, and I can appreciate that, well, through the chair, but I thought I heard you say after that it would be $36 an hour.
Oh, it's
18. And so I'm okay with that if it's 18 an hour plus the first 2 for 36 to 50. I'm okay with that. So
yes,
okay.
Sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Clark Coleman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too am okay with this. These are in-person meetings, right? So they're not being compensated for like parking or anything like that. They're getting absolutely nothing for the monies that they put out, parking and their expenses of having to go to bring a lunch and all that sort of thing. So go ahead.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt you, Clark. However, the statute says that they can also be paid for any additional charges. So let's say if it was parking, they could be paid for parking. So yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because some of these meetings. Wait, some of these meetings you go to.
Right.
Like I'm in the land bank, and I have to go over to 400 Monroe, and sometimes I got to pay $15 to park,
right.
And we get no reimbursement for it.
Right.
So I don't have a problem, and I don't think that people should have to pay to be on these boards.
Right.
So just one quick question. Did this have to go through Ways and Means or anything? Or no?
No, this is actually, we've actually put the money, excuse me, Commissioner Clark, through the chair. We've actually put the money in the budget. This is only essentially a situation where we're actually looking to change the statute. It has to be approved by the county commission for it to be going forward.
Okay, not a problem. No, I don't have a problem with it. I don't think that we should have to pay to be on these boards. And in essence, that's what happens. You're dedicating 8 hours a day in some instances, and you get nothing for your time. I think that this would encourage people to want to serve on these boards if you adequately compensate them. $18 an hour is not. Actually, it's not really adequately compensated, but no, I don't have a problem with that one at all.
You're all set, Commissioner Clark-Bowman?
I'm done, yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, we will move on to item number 5. Madam Clerk.
Item 5, requesting commission approval of Amendment 3 to a 3-year professional services contract with a 1-year option to renew with Pierce Monroe and Associates.
Okay, do we have any questions on this item? Okay, looks like we do not, so we will move on to the next item.
Item 6, requesting commission approval of Amendment 2 to a 5-year contract with 2 1-year options to renew with Michigan Association of County Services Corporation.
Any questions on item number 6? Okay, hearing none. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 7, requesting commission approval of Amendment 1 to a 3-year comparable source contract with 1 2-year option to renew with Image One Corp.
Any discussion? Questions? Commissioner Basham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Question on why it's a comparable source. Can anybody answer that?
I'm sorry. Someone just gave. Is that for E7? We're discussing the Image One.
Yes.
Yes, that's for the county clerk's office. It's a comparable source only because we actually have them in place now. Just actually amending that contract allow us to repurchase needed equipment. We're going to comparable. We have them in place at this point.
Well, I guess through the chair, I'm not a fan of comparable source contracts. And, I'm okay if only one company responds, if it was bid out, so we put sunshine on the process. But I don't personally like comparable source contracts. And so all the flags go up for me on comparable source.
Excuse me, Commissioner Basham, through the chair, I want to point out that this contract is already in place until 2023. We're just asking them to actually provide some new equipment for us, replace equipment. Why is a comparable source? We're not going outside to a different contract. Our yearly contribution continues, stays the same, except for this one-time contribution here for $65,000.
So wouldn't that be to increase the current contract or something like that? Why would it be phrased
Yes.
comparable source?
Reason why is because they provide the equipment and also the toner, the maintenance service to us for our equipment. There's agreement that says that a certain part in the contract, they will replace equipment that's needed. So we're just getting equipment that's badly needed to be replaced. Underneath their contract.
But when they won the contract, were they a comparable source when the contract was originated?
Oh, I'm not for sure about that. That was done back in October 2020. I'm not for sure if that was a comparable source contract. I could definitely take a look and get back with you on that.
Definitely. Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Kleen?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Just following up on that, when a request for a comparable source contract is filed, isn't there a required letter of explanation about why it's comparable source?
Yes.
And I'm also asking commission staff on that too. I didn't see such a letter. I assumed it was a comparable source contract when it began a year or two ago, but there was no confirmation of that. But don't we have a letter on file, I guess, commission staff, that this is, because I think you would have to, from the clerk's office, send a letter over for a contract like this when you're asking for approval to say, hey, we want a comparable source for this reason and that reason. I think if we have that letter, we could clarify the questions that my colleague has.
Through the chair, this is Joe Slezak. The original contract was indeed comparable source, so obviously it continued at this time. I'm trying to call up the original package right now. But yeah, it's my computer's just taking a sec, but the underlying contract was comparable source. So obviously that title carries through. It's just taking my computer a second here to call up the original package, which I do have. So let me.
So through the chair, if I may, while Joe's looking for that, I think it's safe to assume that there is some type of documentation in the package, because normally if there's not, commission staff will not send it forward to committee. Now, how sufficient that documentation is, I guess, questionable. Sometimes it's just an email from the department to procurement requesting comparable source approval, but there usually is something that we look for as staff before we actually submit those items through to committee.
And thank you for that, Ms. Johnson. And I don't, Mr. Slezak, you don't have to go dig that up right now and talk about it. But I do think you should find it, Mr. Slezak, and share it with members of the committee, because Commission Counsel is correct about sometimes the depth of those letters that explain why it's comparable source. So I think if we can bring that letter up, Mr. Slezak, and share it with the committee, I don't need it today, but I think it would be a good thing for all committee members to look at that letter and go, okay, clear as day, why it's comparable source, I'm good with it, or this just muddies the waters and why is it comparable source in the first place? But we don't have to do that today.
Also through the chair, I did find Aaron Wagner, the procurement director at the time. I do have his approval here. I approved this comparable source request. That was July 24th of 2020.
Well,
so, yeah,
follow up with us after the meeting, please,
yep.
Mr. Slezak.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Basham?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The reason I looked at this, did the research on it, it was comparable source then, but I found out that I voted on it. The reason I reluctantly, use the term reluctantly, voted for it, there was a letter, it was explained, and that's why I supported it originally. So I guess it means I'll have to probably support it now also, but there usually wasn't a letter explaining why I was comparable source. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on item number 7? All right, moving on, Madam Clerk.
Item 8, requesting commission approval of modification 3 to a collective bargaining agreement with the Government Administrators Association General Fund Chapter.
Any discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none, Madam Clerk, next item, please. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Clayton, did you want to speak on item 8?
Well, the next ones are all the same.
Right,
We're
yeah.
we're
Okay.
providing $2,000 bonuses for people that had to come into work throughout the pandemic, which I think is a great thing to be able to do more. So I just wanted to comment on that and all the other agreements with our bargaining units. I'm delighted to see these. Like to be able to do more for our employees than we can, but this is good. So that was my only comment.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, I'm sorry, could you read item number 9?
Item 9, requesting commission approval of modification 3 to a collective bargaining agreement with the Government Administrators Association, Wayne County Professional Nurses Council Unit 1.
All right, do we have any other discussion, questions on item 9? All right, Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Item 10, requesting commission approval of modification 3 to a collective bargaining agreement with the Government Administrators Association, Wayne County Professional Nurses Council Unit 2.
Any discussion, questions? Okay, next item, please.
Item 11, requesting commission approval of modification 1 to a collective bargaining agreement with the Government Bar Association.
Any commissioner discussion on this item? All right, I do want to just at this time, I know that we have had some inquiries about the AFSCME bargaining agreement, and I think we've got, is Joe Martinico on the line? I know, that's not one of these items, but just while we're talking about the CBAs, do you mind addressing the committee on the status of any other negotiations that are going on at this time?
Certainly, Commissioner Dobb.
Thank you.
With respect to the pandemic pay stipends that are up for approval before the committee today, we have exchanged similar proposals with both of the AFSCME bargaining units, as well as with other bargaining units who may have employees who are also required to appear for work on site during the course of the pandemic. Those agreements have not been completed. We do not have full agreements with AFSCME or the other bargaining units yet. But as we continue negotiations, and assuming that agreement is reached at some point, we will present those as well to the commission. We are also engaged in conversations with AFSCME regarding their collective bargaining agreements, their full collective bargaining agreements. And we're making proposals, particularly with regard to an attempt to raise wages for our employees to more closely reflect market rates for their various job titles that these employees perform. We have had a number of meetings with AFSCME, and we'll continue to meet with them. We will be initiating meetings with GAA and the other collective bargaining agreements that will be expiring on September 30th this year. We hope to have agreements in place much earlier than September 30th. And as those negotiations result in agreements, we will be bringing those agreements to the committee and to the commission for approval.
Okay. For the pandemic stipends for AFSCME workers, do you expect that to be completed soon?
I hope so. You know, what basically we presented them with a identical agreement to the ones that are being presented here to the committee today. And we've presented them with lists of employees who the departments have identified as being eligible for pandemic pay. And there's been some conversation back and forth about whether or not there are additional people who were not identified by the department. So we're continuing to discuss both the agreement as well as the individuals who would be eligible for the pandemic pay stipends under the agreements.
Okay, all right, thank you for the update. Commissioner Clark Coleman.
Would this be what is known as or referred to as hazard pay?
No,
Or
there is.
Is this something different than hazard pay?
Yeah, we're trying not to confuse the two. Hazard pay was a stipend or a payment that was made to people starting back in, it was negotiated with the two police unions starting back in April of 2020.
Okay.
And it was negotiated with these GAA employees. At the time, their collective bargaining agreement was presented to the commission back in September of 2020. And it was paid only through the year 2020. And the reason for the hazard pay was that you may recall that under the Families First Coronavirus Relief Act, the government provided for 10 days of sick leave paid by, paid sick leave, in addition to whatever their contractual sick leave was, they were entitled to under their collective bargaining agreements. But that law excluded first responders. So in order to recognize the particular risk that was faced by first responders, the county approached the police unions as well as the unions representing employees at the jails and in the juvenile detention facility to provide them with hazard pay in lieu of the 10 days off. And those agreements with the police unions were presented back in April. And the hazard pay agreement in connection with the GAA employees was presented back in September of 2020. That hazard pay only lasted, that hazard pay only lasted through December of 2020. There were employees who were deserving of recognition and some monetary compensation who were not included in those hazard pay agreements. And therefore, the county formulated this proposal with regard to pandemic pay. So people who received the hazard pay are not eligible for the pandemic pay, unless, of course, the hazard pay was less than what they would have received in pandemic pay. And they are getting the full amount, they're getting the difference between what they received in hazard pay and what they would receive under pandemic pay, so that people are fully compensated, get their full entitlement under the two agreements.
Okay, so let's be really clear. I thoroughly support the employees being compensated, either hazard pay or what do you call this stipend?
Pandemic pay stipend.
Yeah, pandemics stipend. Okay, so I thoroughly support that. I think that those people who have to come in and put their lives on the line ought to be compensated. But I guess my question is, okay, so this takes care of the GAA, and these are the supervisors, right?
Right.
Administrators. What are we doing for the frontline workers? I mean, the workers, are they also eligible for some kind of a pandemic stipend?
Yes, we've made the same proposal to AFSCME, and we've also made it to other bargaining units as well, besides AFSCME. We just have not concluded agreements with those unions yet.
But you are working to make sure that our frontline or our regular workers
Yes,
are being compensated as is the GAA.
yes, we are. We've made the same offer to the other unions besides GAA. And we're still in talks with them. We're hopeful to reach agreement with them for these same terms so that they receive the same compensation.
Well, I would certainly hope so. I would not want to just to give it to the administrators and supervisors, and they deserve it, and not take care of our ASME local workers.
Yes, we agree. We have not excluded them. We've made them the same offer.
Okay, is there anyone here from ASME that that might want to speak on this, or maybe we should not do this at this time? I'm just wondering.
I'd rather not do that at this time. We'll allow the comments, but yeah, I really just wanted to get an update from the administration. Yeah, and I'll get more information.
And I'm sure that they can speak under public comment.
Yeah, we'll do that.
That's fine. That's fine.
So thank you, Mr. Martinico, for the update. And any other commissioner questions on the pandemic stipends or the CBAs? Okay, so we are at, I think, Madam Clerk, are we at the end of the report?
Yes.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair.
Oh, yes.
And I apologize. This is Felicia. If I can take this committee back to item 4, just for a point of clarification,
Okay.
because I have concerns that once this is approved, we may be seeking clarification after the fact. So if we can do that now.
Yeah.
So with regards to item number 4, state law says that this body sets the compensation for the Board of Canvassers in consultation with the county clerk. So the county clerk has made a recommendation for essentially $18 an hour, but her recommendation also includes a request that they receive actual and necessary expenses. And so I don't know if this body is comfortable with approving $18 an hour plus actual and necessary expenses, or if we should specify what expenses are acceptable to be paid, such as parking, maybe mileage, because I don't know exactly what could fall under actual and necessary. If they came back and said they wanted to start buying lunches, would that be acceptable? Is that what the commission is approving? So just seeking clarification so that when we do the resolution coming out of board, we know exactly what this body is authorizing in the future. So just wanting to know, again, if that actual and necessary expenses is acceptable language, or should we specify the items that you are authorizing?
I would like to specify the items we are authorizing. I think you're completely right on that. We can't just say any expenses. That could include. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dwayne.
Madam Chair, Commission Council is correct. We did not specify what those are, but the last statute actually had the sentence in there. It states that actual and necessary expenses incurred in the performance of their official duties, and in addition shall be paid daily rate of $25 for meetings and $50 for recounts. So this is something that was already in the statute. We didn't add anything extra. So whatever those necessary expenses were in the past, we're just saying that we want to keep it going. Those necessary expenses, I think Wayne County has always kind of had a policy or set up that usually we pay for things such as mileage, anything that was kind of reimbursements out of their pocket. But we're not adding a new sentence in there. That's something that was already in the statute. Look at that. I'm sure Commission Council can point that to you in MCL 168-24-8. It states there already.
So Dwayne, Mr. Stills is correct, but the issue here is that the statute provision has been repealed, so it's no longer effective. So right now is whatever the commissioners, canvassers receive, it will be based on the resolution and not the statute. So again, wondering if this body wants to clarify more specificity upon what that is. That's all.
I would like that. Commissioner Colleen?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Seal, what's the, does this have to be done today?
It does not have to be done today, but we are having elections. I think there's election coming up shortly. So we want to have something in place for those individuals.
Yeah, well, because kind of what I'm getting at here is council has brought up a good point, and I didn't realize that verbiage you refer to was no longer a part of the law. I think we probably should, because I can also see, Mr. Seal, if the language is left this way, you've been around, Dwayne, people are going to tell you all sorts of stuff about what's necessary, you know, and then it's going to put, I guess, the clerk in the position of making the call if, you know, everything from hiring a babysitter to renting a car to, you know, all sorts of things that could come up. And so since it's not done today, do you think it's possible for 2 weeks from now that we can set out? There's got to be some guidelines like in the IRS, what's, you know, reimbursable, and there's got to be some guidelines somewhere. So I'm just thinking we take another couple of weeks, come up with a reasonable list, and then move forward.
I could, if possible. I mean, I don't want to. I'm not for sure exactly when the election or when, because I know they're having some spring elections come up fairly shortly. I don't want to say wait a couple of weeks when that's and there's election may pop up before that.
Can I interrupt? Can I make another suggestion? Rather than putting this off and waiting another couple of weeks, why can't we allow the general counsel? This has got to go before the full. This is just a recommendation. This has to go before the full board. Why can't the general counsel and the clerk come up with specific items that would be agreeable to both of them, and then have them for the full board meeting? Is that possible?
Yeah, and I believe that's what Commission and Council was suggesting. Is that correct, Felicia?
Yes, so that we'll know the language to include in the resolution. So that can be definitely done for board. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So do we need to say anything in our motion for recommendation
based on
to make this a thing?
No, because again, I'm talking about the resolution. Now that we have an understanding of from the committee that we're seeking more specificity with regards to parking and potentially mileage or something, we can make sure that that's before the body, specifically with the draft resolution come for board.
Okay. All right, great. Okay, so now Commission Council, is it okay for us to make the motion for recommendation for items 4 through 11?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, great. Would someone like to?
I'd like to make the motion for items 1 through 7.
I'd like to
to go to the board.
We already did items 1 through 3. We voted on it. Yeah, we're doing 4 through 11.
Okay, my recommendation is I would like to recommend items, what'd you say, 4 through 7?
4 through 11.
4 through 11. Okay, 4 through 11 to the full board for approval. The recommendation to the full board for approval.
Support.
All right, it has been moved for recommendation and supported. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Kniezek,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark-Holman,
Yes.
Commissioner Basham,
yes.
Commissioner Colleen,
Aye.
Chair Dobb,
Yes. Motion passes. Next item, please.
F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
There are none. Next item.
Public comments.
Okay, first, I'm going to take any emails that we received?
Email that we did receive is from 1659 ASME, and that person has their hand raised.
Okay, President Buffington, would you rather us read your email out loud, or do you want to speak your comment?
I don't know how you would like to proceed, your honorable body, because I sent an email from a handicapped worker from the jail also. So that's up to you all how you would like to proceed if they got both emails.
Okay, so that wasn't from you.
One was from the local and the other one, as I advised, was from a handicapped worker at the jail.
Okay.
I'm not
Madam
aware
Clerk-
of that email. I am not aware of that email. Can you
Mr.
re-forward it?
Mr. Hawthorne's email?
No, I'm not aware of that one. If you can re-forward it, the clerk doesn't have a problem reading it though.
If you can either forward it right now, we can read it, or you can forward it and it can be read at our full board meeting next week, or we can read it at our next committee meeting.
I sent it a second time. I guess because it's combined with my email, that might be the issue.
James Hawthorne is the one you said?
That may be.
Correct. I think that's the issue.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, Madam Clerk, if you could read the email from James Hawthorne.
How much time are you allotting for public comments, Madam Chair?
3 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, this is from James Hawthorne. He says, wow, I thought we were making progress on that money. I caught COVID-19 in May 2020, was off for a month, had to use my time. The union did nothing. Hands were tied. I've been working every day since COVID-19 started, 5 days a week, shorthanded, handicapped union. Did nothing, hands were tied. I talked to some family lawyers. I've been a member paying for 20 years, never used union. I don't get in trouble. They suggested I leave the union and try to get disability eventually.
Thank you. Did we have any other emails?
Nothing besides that one.
Okay. President Buffington, go ahead with your comment.
Yes, my comment is for those that have survived the pandemic, those who worked, I don't care if they came in 1 day, 5 days, most of them are deceased or retired. We have been requesting monies for coming in through the pandemic, no matter how they were allotted or what they were captioned as. Monies were received. This honorable body made mention and promises to assist. You've done all that you can. All that I'm going to indicate is you can clearly see from the movement of the hiring process and the movement of the deterioration of the employees as to whether or not we are being fairly treated. That is all I will say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else who would like to address the Committee on Government Operations? You can, Madam Clerk, actually, can you unmute everyone? Or you can just go ahead and unmute yourself and either raise your hand or just speak up.
Mine's are unmuted.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the Committee on Government Operations? All right, last call for public comments. All right, thank you. Moving on to the next item, Madam Clerk.
Adjournment.
All right, can I get a motion for adjournment?
So moved, Madam Chair.
All right,
Support.
moved and supported. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
You too, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Yeah.